Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sam.
And we're bad at watching movies.
But we're good at losing things, turning gray, and speaking backwards.
Okay.
She doesn't sweat at all.
Welcome to LA, baby.
It's gooey, it's sticky, it's everything.
Are we bad at watching movies?
In this episode, we'll be discussing the 2001 TV movie Halloweentown 2.
Ooh, a sequel.
Oh, Kalabar's Revenge.
Oh, yeah. Salad bar.
Mhm.
Here at Bad at Watching Movies, we watch some of our favorite movies, good or bad. We talk about everything from scenes to characters, and we always have something to laugh about.
And the summary from IMDb reads, a young witch and her grandmother work together to foil the plans of a wicked warlock's son before he can use powerful spells to create chaos in the world. That is a long sentence.
It is. I feel like IMDb, summaries are just always a lot. It's always a mouthful. And they're always like, can we make the world's longest sentence rather than using 3 sentences?
Yeah. And it's very vague.
Yeah.
Very
always.
vague, yeah.
So if you didn't know, this is a sequel to the first Halloweentown movie, which was our very first episode ever. So this is almost like a little anniversary kind of moment.
And there's 2 more after this. One that we're really excited to talk about. The last one, not so much, but we'll do both of them.
Yeah. We'll do them all because I feel like we have to.
Yeah.
But that last one. Okay.
I know.
So
Not ready for that.
we'll dive into it later. The characters. So number 1, Grandma Aggie, who is played by Debbie Reynolds.
Iconic.
Yeah, she is the matriarch of this family.
Yep.
She is a witch who previously in the first episode, she was still living in Halloweentown. And this time she at the end of the first one, they realized she's going to come live with the family. So she's been living with the family for about 2 years now.
Yeah. The next person is Mom. That's who I refer to as, I just say Mom throughout my whole notes.
Yeah.
And so her name is Gwen, played by Judith Hoag. I remember not being able to say this last time, so here we are again.
She's great. And then Marnie Cromwell, who is our main character. She is played by Kimberly J. Brown. She's a little older now. She's in high school.
Yep.
She
A lot older.
Yeah.
It has not been 2 years. Well, when was the other one filmed? 1998?
And this is 2001.
So I guess it's only 3 years, but they all look so different.
Yeah,
but
they've all aged up.
But I guess you kind of change a lot when you're 10 to 21 or whatever.
Yeah, and she you can tell her powers have kind of developed a little more. She's a little more in control there.
Yeah, she kind of just does this and things happen. Yeah.
Magic.
The next character is Dylan, who is Marnie's brother, played by Joey Zimmerman. He is still one of my favorite characters because he's just kind of, I don't know how to explain him, but he's kind of the downer.
Yeah.
He's just kind of oh, you guys are, ruining the family. There's some really funny lines that I quote during my notes, but he's just kind of the best.
Yeah.
I like Dylan.
He cracks me up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Sophie, which is by Emily Rosk. Roski. I think it's probably just Rosk. But I found her on TikTok recently.
Yeah.
And she was having her daughter who looks just like her. Well, I think she has 2 daughters, but one of them looks just like her. And she was watching Halloweentown. It was so cute.
Oh.
By the way, you can see her on Cameo. So if you ever want Emily Rosk or Sophie to give you a shout out,
is she expensive?
You can. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Oh, because some people are really expensive.
She's probably mid-tier, I would assume.
Yeah.
TV movie star.
The next person is a new character to this movie. It's Gort, and he is played by Blue Mankuma. We meet him later on, but he's kind of like the Halloweentown's grump. He just kind of hates everyone. He smells really bad. But he's a fun character.
Yeah.
I enjoy his gray version of himself,
Yeah, the actor is really funny.
Yeah.
And Aggie describes him as the junk man of the universe.
Yeah.
And then we have Daniel Counts. He plays Cal, Kal.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't remind me of anyone.
No, can't think of anyone.
But we have a fun fact here because he was born in Portland, Oregon, which is where we are currently.
Yeah. I did not know that. And
I didn't know.
We found out about 5 minutes ago. So there you go.
So it's there. But fun fact, and I think I mentioned this is the first one, but him and Marnie reconnected, the actors reconnected later on, and now they are engaged.
I
And I just saw their
know.
engagement pictures,
And
they're
he
so cute.
still looks just as cute.
Yeah.
He looks good.
He looks good. She doesn't look like she's aged at all.
No.
Like, maybe from, like, I swear, like, Halloweentown high on, she's just looks great. She's got it all together.
And then we also have another new character, Peter Wingfield. He plays a character, Alex, and he is Cal's dad.
Mm-hmm. Luke, who we had in the first one.
Yep.
Philip Van Dyke. Luke is a goblin. His makeup is completely different this time around. It does look a little better, I would say, than the first one when he's in his goblin form. A little pale. And the hair's a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, his hair is a lot, and his ears are also a lot.
Yeah.
The movie kind of just jumps into it. It's one of those things where I feel like a lot of the movies we've covered, it's like flying over the city and music and stuff, and it just jumps right into it with just a summary of the previous movie. So basically, the Cromwell family, who is made up of Aggie, Gwen, Marnie, Dylan, and Sophie, they were all fighting a bad guy named Kalabar.
Mm-hmm.
And with the help of everyone, they were able to defeat him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first movie. And I have a note, they were such babies in the first movie. I just feel like
so little.
Like Sophie is like tiny, and now she's still small, but she and Dylan literally grew. Like,
Dylan is a high schooler now too.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like in the first one, it's like Marnie's like middle school, maybe, like, or maybe even just like 6th grade.
She's probably like an 7th or 8th grader.
Yeah, like
I think
somewhere
she's
in
like
that
middle
age.
school.
And I feel like Dylan's still like late elementary, and Sophie's just so little.
So little, and now it's wild. And what's Marnie? She's probably like junior, or is she like a sophomore? Because there was one more year, and then she moves in to her grandma. So is that after she graduates high
she's
school?
supposed to do it later. That's why the timeline here is weird. Because the third one is Halloweentown High, so she's still in high school. So I guess in this one you can say that she's probably early high school, so either freshman or sophomore. And then she's probably junior or senior. Probably senior in the last one, but or in the third one. Last one to me.
Yeah, I know.
So the beginning is like that recap. I hate this. It's not in St. Helens, Oregon anymore.
I know.
It's just like a backlot looking space. It looks like it was like a shopping mall or something. And the excuse is Halloweentown is always changing. So therefore, all new residents except for Benny and Jack-o'-lantern looks different, and we're not in the same town at all.
And none of the same actors. With Benny, we'll come to it, but he's played by a completely different guy because he's grayed out or whatever. But yeah, they don't have any of like the reoccurring characters back.
It makes me sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's probably just filmed in California this time around because they're like closer to home, cheaper budget, all that.
Yeah.
Jazz, so,
So it is Halloween. And Marnie is chatting with the girls on IM. Oh
and
man.
I love the like AI voice that it has.
I hated that. I was like, why would you have that?
What are you doing?
Why? What is going on with the party?
Also, why are they not at the party? Your chat room girlies aren't invited?
I know. She's like chatting with her girls, and then none of her girls show up.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
And then when she's chatting with them, a weird misty head appears behind her.
Spooky.
And
then it just kind of like fades back. And she's like, did I feel something? I'm good.
She's like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then it's party time. Mom is throwing a Halloween party at their house,
which is a big step for her because she was fully anti-Halloween, but now that the cat's out of the bag, she's not fully ready to embrace the Halloween culture.
Yeah,
but she's totally fine with this huge party, and I'm like, you know what? Good, that's a really big step.
She's
for 2
trying,
years,
because
that's big.
Because the opening scene of the last movie was Marnie wanting to go trick or treating, and her mom being like, "You're not going."
Yeah.
So we're
it's a big,
taking leaps,
big
folks.
step.
Yeah.
And her house is huge now. It's a giant compared to what it was.
Is it? It's probably a different. Because didn't she mention she moved?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is so funny because she starts off with like nothing's changed here, but literally now she's on a computer using the internet. Everyone is older. I feel like it's supposed to be that way of like she just feels like nothing's changed, but really everything has.
Yeah. Dylan is handing out candy. And then Grandma is handing out hats and brooms in her like I call it like a Mary Poppins bag,
really is a Mary Poppins
where
bag.
she's just pulling things out and handing off things. And then Grandma's like, oh, show the kids some like fun magic, but Mom is still a buzzkill.
Yeah.
She still has her old ways, and she's trying.
Yeah.
I do think she's trying.
In her defense, I think she just doesn't want the like kids to be exposed to like real magic because
Yeah.
they're normal children that are visiting this home, and like that would cause a lot of chaos. Like, imagine like word gets out that there's like people actually flying around their house. You
Yeah.
know?
And she
like, it's fair.
Yeah, and she makes a comment like she doesn't want the neighborhood kids to be corrupted by Aggie. We get it. It's okay.
Love that.
And then Grandma makes a comment about wanting to train Marnie to take over the head of the family. And Sophie's a little bit sad because she's like, what about me?
Yeah.
Can't I be the head of the family or take over?
Honestly,
And she's better.
I was
We
gonna
know that
say,
she's better.
If anyone is like more powerful, it's Sophie.
Yeah.
And if anyone's kind of a little more patient and wise, it's Sophie.
Yeah.
Like Marnie just kind of like is impulsive and
Emotional.
and really I feel like her powers are not as good as Sophie's. That being said, she was kind of like stunted because she didn't get to even find out until she was 13.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. And Sophie like knows.
Yeah.
Wait, is Sophie 13 then?
maybe she is now. She's
There's
old.
literally no way she's 13.
She's like probably 12 or 11.
But I thought you couldn't I thought you didn't have powers until you were 13.
They have powers. No. They have powers. Because remember, they even talked, like,
Oh.
remember she does the cookie. They have powers, but if
Oh.
they never learn about their powers or do their training before they're 13,
Oh,
then they
oh,
lose
oh.
them forever.
Oh.
It's like the flop. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, and then with Gwen, the mom, and
Mhm.
Grandma Aggie fighting, each of the like girls kind of takes one like guardian to like talk to them. So Sophie's like, I'll talk to Grandma.
Yeah.
Again, she kind of like makes the game plan too. She's like, I got Grandma, I'll talk her out, and like you go take Mom.
Right.
And I'm like, Sophie, like
She
being a
should be the head
mediator
of the-
and the youngest of the
Yeah.
family.
So Grandma is up in her like secret room spying
Yeah.
on Halloweentown. Like
Yeah,
and she's
she misses it.
I know, but it's so bizarre because it's like she's watching Gort, who we'll meet later on, and Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
Like Astrid's like, hey, do you want to donate to the school district or whatever? And he's like grumpy, like, I don't want to do that. And then it's like, but it's like a movie.
Yeah.
It's like filmed from different angles in this like globe.
It's magic.
I know, but it's like
She has access to the like security cameras in Halloweentown. You know.
it takes me out of it. I'm sorry. I'm like, this is like a full on movie.
Yeah. Well, this is good because this is where Sophie asks questions about those characters. So she's like, who's Astrid? Okay, that's your friend, right? And then
Mhm.
Gort, and that's where she explains Gort is like the junk man of the universe.
Yeah.
Anything that gets lost ends up at Gort's house.
Like in the real world and then in Halloweentown too.
Yeah.
Like
It
everything.
all ends up there.
Yeah.
And he is a hoarder.
Yeah. And then Sophie tells Grandma that she should go back to Halloweentown, but she was like, after being away for so long, it might be hard to go back for just a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then she said she'll go back next year when Marnie can come also, which that's confusing me because I'm like, is she just gonna like drop out of high school?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the timelines, they weren't thinking ahead to what was going to
No.
happen in the next one. Like, I'll talk about it again at the end too, with something that is said, because
Okay.
I feel like it totally, like, I just think they had a completely different idea in mind of what the third movie would be, and it ended up being
Yeah,
way
because
different.
it seems like Marnie would be a senior,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
If she's
that's-
like going off to like go to Halloweentown and her mom was fine with it, it seems like she finished school.
Yeah, I think
But
that
then-
was the intention, and then they just
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Time travel? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, they do later on.
Exactly. So then let's see. So we've got is this where Sophie says somebody's coming again?
Yeah.
It's her classic line. Somebody's coming.
Somebody's coming. Yeah, and so and then it switches over to Marnie with her mom. She's upset because Marnie wants to leave her and she's like, I'm not abandoning you. Mom says she's going to be a stranger in this world when she comes back after a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, cuz it seems like a year in Halloweentown is like a lot longer
Yeah. So
than a year in the
essentially-
real world.
Yeah, in Halloweentown, time is moving much faster, I think.
Yeah.
So like if she goes to Halloweentown for a year in mortal time, it's probably like 50 years there or something crazy. It's something crazy. Like the
Wow.
the multiplied time is like wild because somehow the mom explains it later, but like yeah, it's like a long amount of time.
Yeah.
So at least like 20 years. I think she even says like century. I don't know. She says something crazy and I'm like that's wild. But also, why is it based on normal people time and not? I don't know. I have so many questions.
I think it's kind of cool though because it's like studying abroad.
Yeah, and you have no choice. You can't come back.
Yeah, and it's like magic.
There's a portal closed.
Yeah. And I say, hot guy alert.
Yes. And literally, yeah. And then Marnie sees him and she goes, the bomb.
I don't get that.
I don't know and she hasn't never met him before. So, like, I feel like if it was like, oh, he's like the hotshot of the high school, like previously
He's not even
established.
enrolled.
Right. And like, if that would make sense if she's like, oh, like, yeah, like the hot guy came,
right.
The bomb came to my party. But it's like, who is this? Why is he the bomb? You don't even know him.
And then the hot guy has a dad who's Alex.
Yes.
And he's British.
Yes. Why not?
Just because.
Yeah.
Because British guys are cute, I will say.
Yeah. And he introduces himself as Cal.
Yeah.
And they just moved in across the street.
Yeah.
They're just unpacking and they just showed up at this Halloween party, which is like, I guess fine. Like if there's already like kind of an open party going on and you just moved in.
Yeah.
It's still kind of weird to just walk in, but
it is. And Marnie's like, don't you have to unpack? And Cal's like, oh, my dad trusts me with that. Like we didn't want to do that tonight. I'm like, okay.
Fine, whatever. Yeah. Time to go creep on this girl you don't know.
And then Alex brings ice cream and he's like, I hope you like lime. Green's my favorite color.
Yeah.
And it's just like two huge,
it's
like those like big party
so
tubs
yeah.
that you get for like birthday parties. That's what it is, of lime green or like lime flavored ice cream.
Yeah, like that's not a party favorite. The only reason I would like kind of be okay with that is if you're gonna put it in the punch.
Yes.
But there's way too much of it.
Like with like Sprite or something, or like a Sprite or something.
You put it. You mix it with something, but you do not just eat lime.
And they do later on.
Oh yeah, they do.
Oh, they do. Dylan asks the girl out to the dance.
Cindy.
For later that night because I guess there's a party and then there's a dance after the party. I'm like, these people stay up so late.
Yeah, the high school dance party, Halloween party, which cool. I wish we had a cool Halloween party.
The girl he asks out is so mean.
She is.
He's like best. Oh no, she's like best costume of the night wins a prize. Dylan says, might that prize be a kiss? And she says, that's disgusting, and walks away.
Only in her defense is he asked her first, and he's like, "Oh, are you going?" And she's like, "You're not even wearing a costume," which is like fair because
super
and he's like,
fair.
"It's not really my thing." And I'm like, "Well, then why do you care about going to the dance if it's not your thing? Like, come on, Dylan, you got to play the game a little. You can be yourself, but play the game a little."
And we find out later that he asked like 5 women to this dance, and all of them said no.
He's not like gross or ugly.
No, but he's Dylan. He's a
Dylan.
nerdy.
No, but he's Dylan.
Marnie and Cal end up in Aggie's secret room.
Yeah, he's like, oh, like, yeah, because they go to Marnie's room first, and he's like, oh, it doesn't really look like you. And I'm like, you don't even know her.
What? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, like, he's like, it's just so ordinary. And she's like, oh, I'll show you my grandma's room to try to impress him. Why? That's so weird. Even if it's not, like, even if you're trying to, like, show off, like, oh, yeah, my grandma's got all this cool stuff, like, imagine like you have someone over, like a friend over, right? And you're like, let's go look at my brother's room and just like spend a decent amount of time in there. Or my parents' room. Yeah, that's weird.
I feel like there's like my house, all the bedrooms are kind of in the back. Like no one ever goes back there.
Yeah,
because it's like I don't want
to my room.
Here's like, my parents' room. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So they're in Aggie's room. They're kind of looking around the room, and there's a jar. I don't know if you noticed this. That looks like a jar of weed. Like I'm not kidding. I studied it for 5 minutes going.
You're like, that's what that is. Someone like a camera guy was like, they needed one more prop. And he's like, oh, just take this.
But it was labeled as something that was like a common.
Probably like an herb of some kind.
Yeah. And I looked it up and it's like a coal or like a mineral or something doesn't even look like that. It was so bizarre.
Someone snuck that in.
Anyway, it looks like a jar of weed.
And as far as we know, that's what it was.
Yeah. Aggie's getting lit.
Yeah, she has all this weird stuff too. Like it's just like
hair
weird.
of a werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and she's like, yeah, that was hard to get. And then she keeps having to be like, oh, but it's all pretend. Like, and then the book of spells. And he's like, is that a book of spells? And she's like, no, and gets really defensive about it. And he's weird about it. And he's like, okay, we can like go back downstairs.
Yeah.
What does he do? And also, why does she let him kind of like straggle behind? At all, but he does.
Yeah, you would let the person out first.
Yeah, you'd be like, go ahead.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah, impulsive. The bomb. and he steals Aggie's spellbook. He shrinks it down and
Yeah.
swipes it.
So he is a warlock.
Yeah. And probably not a good guy.
No.
Named Cal.
Bad
Weird.
vibes.
I don't know. It just reminds me of something.
I don't know. So Cal ends up leaving the party, but he asks Marnie to go to the dance later that night. Of course, Marnie's like, yeah, head over heels, whatever.
Yeah.
And he said he hands her a rose. Don't know what that's about.
Weird.
And he says, meeting you is everything that I hoped it would be. I
he's
understand.
creepy.
I get it, though. As like a 14, 15-year-old, if a cute guy said that to me, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
in love.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
And him too. Like,
I know.
ooh,
He's cute.
The bomb.
The bomb.
The bomb. Yeah, and so then he like leaves, and we realize he like goes across the street to where the bus stop is, the Halloweentown bus stop, the spiderweb sign, and he like opens a portal and leaves.
Yeah.
And right after he does that, it cuts to Aggie giving out things from her bag, and all of a sudden it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
And things aren't coming out of it, and it's never empty. So
No.
something is wrong.
Yeah, and it's so this little kid is so cute. When the bag runs out, the only kid who doesn't get a gift is so sad. He's like, just my luck.
It's a very like Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
I got a rock.
Yeah, it's so sweet. So Aggie kind of decides to go back to Halloweentown just to make sure everything's okay. She's like, I'll just go back for an hour or two and I'll be back home. And the portal closes in like, what was it, 4 or 5 hours or something? So they have
and in
plenty of
Halloweentown,
time.
that's like a couple days. Like you're
Yeah.
fine, or weeks. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a lot more time.
But they kind of have to convince Mom. You know, they hope that it's okay that they all go, but apparently it's past Sophie's bedtime.
Yeah. They try to like sneak in the conversation while Mom is kind of smitten and talking to Alex.
Yeah.
So they don't have to have it
Oh,
like a
yeah.
direct conversation about it. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going home.
We didn't touch on that, but Alex and the mom have a thing going on
Yeah,
too.
they're hitting it off, which honestly, good for Gwen. Like, I want her to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That reminds me too, there's something about like the timeline of when the dad died that's mentioned that I think Dylan says at some point, and it makes it sound like it was only like, he says like 2 years, which makes me think it happened just before the first movie. And in the first movie, it doesn't really seem like they're all like grieving. I don't know. It's weird.
No, we can't figure out when the dad
recency
died.
of it sounds more recent after watching this movie, but I feel like it wasn't because just the way the family behaves in the first one, I don't know. I feel like it'd be in like
yeah,
deeper
he did
turmoil.
mention like it's been 2. Yeah, he did say that. I did not catch that.
It's weird because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that means it must have happened just before the first movie takes place.
Which they weren't really that upset in the first
And he only
movie.
has, what, one picture in the whole house? I feel like there'd still be a lot up.
It's past Sophie's bedtime, but she lets Marnie go. And Aggie says, see, she can be reasonable. And Dylan says, yeah, we should have a stranger there for all of our family discussions because Alex was there when they were talking about going to Halloweentown. And I think Mom said yes because there was a stranger there. You know, when like you ask your mom for something in front of like another parent or like someone else and they kind of have to say yes and be nice, you know?
It's
that's
a good tactic.
Yeah,
Grandma knew. She's like,
that's
can't
that
really
situation.
slide on under. And then let's see. Yeah, I do feel bad that Sophie can't go because again, she'd probably be the most help.
Yeah. But she gets left at home with a headphone.
Yeah.
It's these 2 headphones that Grandma Aggie invented and they can speak through them.
Yeah, and they can speak between the worlds. Because remember in
Yeah.
the first one, she's like, we don't have communication between the worlds yet. So
But
apparently she figured that out.
Grandma
2
Aggie's
years.
smarty pants.
She's got it. And then Marnie and Aggie, they go to the bus stop and it's missing. And they're like, where's the bus stop?
Yeah.
And she has this really funny line about the guy who runs the bus. And she's like, I swear that man would like forget his head if his wife didn't put it in his lunchbox.
Yeah. Oh, her little one-liners are so good.
They're so fun.
And then so Marnie tries to call it, but it doesn't work. So they have to do it together. We're back at the house, and Mom and Cal's dad are making a punch together. And this part I don't love. He's like, you have the most beautiful green eyes, like little lily pads. And I'm like, her eyes are literally blue.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
He's
but her
just
eyes are
weirdly
blue.
obsessed with green, and I wonder why. And lily pad's weird.
And he asked her to the dance later, and she says yes.
Yeah,
At first, she's like,
which,
it's for high schoolers,
again-
but he's like, we can go and have fun. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, which, wow. Like, again, I'm like, good for her. But at the same time, I'm like, it's weird that you aren't, like, registered chaperones and you're just showing up at a high school dance, because I don't think that would fly.
No.
Maybe not even really in 2001. Maybe.
Like the rigmarole to buy tickets to a high school dance was
Yeah.
wild. You could not have any like books that were like not returned. You had to have all your fees
There was
paid.
a lot of things. Wow. Yeah, because I remember I didn't go to winter formal my senior year because I like just barely missed the timeline. And so I
then
never went.
Bringing a guest from outside the school, because I did that once, is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's awful. I get it though, like security and stuff, but why do I have to have them
So
all-
anyway, yeah, they're just going.
So yeah, they just get to. But that's like
Security. Wow.
But that's like any movie. It's like the night of. A lot of people are like, let's just go.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it doesn't work that way.
I wish. That sounds amazing.
If you have any library books out, sorry, you're not getting in.
Yeah, sorry.
Cal's dad Alex bumps into Dylan on his way out, and Alex looks like really pissed when that happens. Did you notice
he
that?
looks like mad, and then he looks like almost sick,
Yeah.
and then he croaks like a frog and leaves.
And then there's a frog on the ground after he leaves too.
Yeah, and
So we're
Dylan's
like-
like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
Like-
I wonder what's going on there.
That's weird. We go to Halloweentown,
Mm-hmm.
and Grandma's Aggie's so excited. She's like, "Oh yes, like this was the right move." Literally, they walk around and everything's grayed out. The
Yeah.
jack-o'-lantern's gone. It's just like a brick, like box essentially,
Yeah.
and everyone is like dull and boring, and it is definitely not Halloweentown anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Eventually, Aggie's like, "This is like a spell that I know."
Mm-hmm.
And the spell, what it does is it doesn't just turn people into humans. I mean, again, we're seeing everything's gray and all the people are gray.
Right.
A note on that though. I don't know if it's just because of the filter they used or if it was intentional, but there's a little bit of like orangish red is still present, even though everything's grayed, but anything that has an orange or reddish tone is still colored. Because like Luke's hair
Yeah.
is still there. And I don't know if it's like because orange is the Halloween color, so it's like still
So it's
holding on.
intentional,
Or if it was just like the effect couldn't handle.
Also, there was
graying everything.
There was some times where Marnie was touching the grandma after she turned, and you could see like the haze almost of like the coloring on
Yeah.
Marnie.
Yeah,
I think it's just the way that they
effect-
colored it.
Yeah, I think the effect they're trying to use doesn't quite like
Right.
map to all the colors.
So maybe it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird, but Aggie explains that it's essentially like a caricature of humans. So
Right.
Halloweentown people who don't like humans essentially think that they're like extra boring. They're extra normal.
Right.
So it just makes everyone really dull and bland and
Yeah.
human. Oh, and then they bump into Luke.
Yes, they bump into Luke, and he's like rude.
Yeah. It's like,
But I think the gray spell you don't remember.
yeah.
Anyone.
He recognizes them because he's like, "You know me." And then she's like, "Oh, you're Luke, but you're not a goblin anymore. Like, what happened to you?" And he doesn't really know.
No.
Like, he's very confused. It kind of like wipes your memory a little bit, makes you very like dazed and confused.
And like they just
Yeah.
don't really care.
I think Luke as a human is like pretty cute, especially now that he's grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. I would agree.
Dylan can't wait. Oh, Aggie thinks there's a spell in her spell book that might be able to help.
Yeah, and this is where she first explains like, "Oh, well, to undo any spell, you just say it backwards," which I did not know was a thing until this movie, but apparently it is a thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, like let's just call Dylan and ask him to go check on it for us using the headphone."
Yeah, and so she calls Dylan, but Dylan can't find the book because you know who took it? Cal.
Yeah, she's like, "So was anyone in my room?" And Marnie's like, "Well, I was with my friend." And it's like, "Why were you in there with some random stranger?" I can't.
He was cute.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Yeah. And Aggie's like, "Yeah, he's our only suspect. Like, we can't." And Marnie's still trying to justify it. She's like, "No, he's really sweet." I'm like, "Girl, you do not know this person."
You literally walked around with him for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The bomb. And they try to open the portal to go back to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
And they can't open the portal. Oh,
This is a random thing too.
yeah.
To get Dylan to like cooperate, Marnie's like, "I know your password," to like get on the computer and
Oh,
stuff.
right,
and
right,
it's
right.
iron buns. And I love that Aggie like roasts him for it. She's just like, "Iron buns." If your grandma roasts you on your password, like, damn.
That's the best.
Poor Dylan.
And Aggie's, so yeah, they try to go back, but the portal's not opening. And she was like, I knew coming back here was a trap. They knew if they messed with my suitcase that I would come back.
Yeah.
And then Cal's voice says, very good, Aggie. You keep up nicely. And they turn around and he is in the Halloween, where the Halloween jack-o'-lantern was.
Yeah.
But his head is in there. And it is so weird.
It's creepy and
'Cause
weird.
he's
Yeah, he
bald.
doesn't have like his hair. I don't know how they did the effect, especially back then. Like, it just looks weird.
It's awful.
And like you can tell like it's pre-filmed, so like he doesn't make eye contact with them. He's kind of just like looking out and then kind of down, and it just looks weird.
I hate it. And then Marnie says, Cal, you cast a spell on Halloweentown, and Cal says, just as it was written in Aggie's spell book, you naughty girl. And at the time, Andrew, my boyfriend, was sitting in the back, and I've never seen him whip around so quickly. He goes, what just happened? And we watched it back like 3 different times because he's like, this is not okay. Because the way he says it, you naughty girl.
And he says it so creepy. You naughty girl.
And I literally hate it. It's like my word. And like he not even paying attention to the movie. Literally,
I was
all
watching
of his
this movie
attention.
at like 7 years old.
Like, why would you write? The writers of this movie are wild.
I don't know. It's the weed in the jar. It's the naughty girl. And Marnie quickly pieces it together that he is Kalabar's son. She's like, the Rose. Your name's fucking Cal with the K.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, you like pieced it together. You're so smart. Ha ha ha. Naughty girl.
Yeah, naughty girl. Like, ew. Also, Cal says that he could have just taken the book whenever he wanted to, but he wanted to see if Marnie liked him. So he's very manipulative.
Yeah,
he's like,
he wanted her to do it.
I could have taken it from you, like, no problem, but I wanted you to like me. I wanted to see if there was something between us. I'm like, ew.
Yeah. And because he does kind of have a little crush on her, sort of. Like, he's like, you can roll with me. Like, I'll teach you some stuff. And it's like, damn, okay. So he does kind of like her, which, of course, because it's a Cromwell witch, and Kalabar loved Gwen, so Kalabar's son, of course, loves Marnie. Like, right. History repeats itself.
And then Cal says that the gray spell is only the first act, and the finale is at midnight.
Yeah.
So what's that going to be?
We don't know yet.
Aggie and Marnie rush back to her house in Halloweentown. I think that's Aggie's house. Cal has one of the spell books, but Aggie actually has another at her house.
Yeah,
so there's
like,
I
have a backup. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Let's call Benny, like, let's get going. And Benny pulls up, and he is now a human, which is so weird to see. And he's like this shaky, kind of scared guy, like very timid.
Yeah.
And as we all know, the real Benny, or when Benny's a skeleton, he drives crazy and fast, and this guy goes so slow.
Yeah. He's funny. I like the character.
Yeah.
So they get to Aggie's house. Marnie comments on how careful Benny's driving. And he asks, have we met? And Marnie says, yeah, but the last time you were just skin and bones, except for the skin.
That's a joke
Such
that
a
Benny
comedian.
would have told if Benny was alive.
Yeah.
Or Benny was Benny. He's alive.
He's
he was dead.
I don't know if Benny's alive, but he's like a skeleton.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
He's got more soul when he's dead.
Yeah.
They go to the house, and unfortunately, her house is also all grayed out and like normal and dull, and it's sad. And she's like, I hope the book is here, but we don't know. And they start searching.
So they start searching, and it's like this like sped up montage of them like looking like in the couch cushions, like under vases.
And they let the audio speed up too, so it's like,
well, not under here, but
yeah.
And then Marnie to Luke, because Luke's like standing around not doing anything. Yeah. She's like, you could help out, you know. And Luke's like, I'm kind of hungry. Okay.
Gray spell makes you hungry and not helpful.
But they can't find the book. Marnie says there has to be something that we haven't thought of, something that will get out of this trap, a spell or something.
She does say that.
She does say that.
And then they look over, and Luke is not affected by the spell anymore.
No,
and
he's
Aggie's
turned
like,
back.
I guess it could be temporary. Like, it might not be a permanent spell.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, but then, like, what's our next step? How do we get the book? If it's not here, where do we go? And then Aggie's like, oh, it's lost. That's great. Like, it's fine. It's lost.
And Marnie's like, what? What do you mean it's good that it's lost?
But if Marnie was paying attention like Sophie was, because Sophie knew exactly who Gort was, then she would be like, oh, it's at Gort's house, which
Yeah.
Aggie reveals. She's like, well, everything gets lost, ends up at Gort's house.
I wonder what would happen if we switched Sophie and Marnie.
I think the story would just be wrapped up a little sooner.
I don't think it would have happened. I don't know if Sophie's like really into like dating people.
Yeah, she's
you
not
know?
into the boys yet. She's a little young. She may not ever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also she seems to just be like with it, and she pays attention very closely.
There's hope again. Aggie realizes and is happy that the book is lost. So they're on their way to Gort's house. There's a lot of switching back and forth.
Yeah, between the real world
Mhm.
and that, and so now we're going back, to Dylan,
Yeah.
Sophie, and the mom, because Dylan's like, we have to tell mom like what we know now.
Right. So people are leaving the party for the night because I think everyone's getting ready for like the high school dance because that's like the next thing of the night. Mom, Sophie, and Dylan are talking about the lost book. Sophie is telling Mom that Cal is an evil warlock and he stole the book, and Mom is upset because there never seems to be a realistic explanation for anything anymore.
But like at this point, I feel like she should just believe them, because after what happened last time,
yeah.
and again, it's the same with the first one where she doesn't believe her own mother about like something bad happening. I'm like, you've been around magic before, like you grew up in it, so
Yeah.
I feel like you would at least be like, no, something weird could be happening.
I
Like,
need a spin-off of Gwen when she's younger.
yeah, I really want it.
And when Gwen and her husband or dad meet. Yeah.
And that would be an appropriate time to hire a different actress because she's younger. I'm not talking about any movie specifically.
And then Alex shows up in a frog costume. He also has a very scary mask for Mom to wear. I do
Yeah, he's
not
like, Cal
this
and I have
mask.
picked this out for you. And I'm like, why would Cal have anything to do with this? That's
No.
weird enough.
Yeah. But then she's like all excited about this party, sees Sophie and goes, oh my God, I was about to leave Sophie by herself.
Which, I mean, Sophie could handle it, but
Right. So she's
she
like,
is a child.
but she's like, I'm sorry, I have to stay home. Like, I forgot about Sophie, blah, blah, blah. And then Dylan kind of sees her happy, you know, and
Yeah.
is like, I'll stay home. I don't have a date. Like, I'll just stay home with Sophie. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And-
And Mom's like, you asked a couple people? And he's like, they all said no.
Yeah.
One girl like had milk come out of her nose. It was that bad. I'm like, poor Dylan. Like,
I know.
poor guy.
He is a little nerdy, though.
He's a nerd.
A funny thing, Dylan to Sophie when Mom and Alex leave, he's like, bed. And Sophie's like, don't make me laugh.
Come on. It's Halloween. Literally, at least stay up and watch a movie or something.
I know, a bedtime at like, what was it, like 8 o'clock?
Yeah,
On
and everyone else is going out and having
Halloween.
fun. Yeah, like let her eat some. If she's not even gonna go trick or treating or anything, like let her just like eat some candy and watch a movie. Like,
Like, it's probably like one of those good Halloweens where it's like the weekend Halloween, like
yeah,
a Friday night.
they're literally go. Everyone else is
Halloween.
going to like a dance, so
Yeah.
no one's doing anything the next day.
Marnie, Luke, and Aggie make it to Gort's house. Aggie preps him that he is the smelliest, meanest guy in the world, and he opens the door and he's gray,
Yeah,
and he's like totally fine.
yeah,
He's like, welcome inside, and his house is like perfectly
all
clean.
organized.
Yeah.
very minimal.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we're looking for a book. And he has like a very nice organized bookshelf. There's only like a handful of books there.
Yeah, some of the titles of the books: proper toenail cutting and 100 recipes for tapioca.
Yum.
Yum. They ask Gort if he has any other books since they did not find the spell book, and he says that he sold the rest at a yard sale.
Yikes.
And do you remember who you sold my spell book to? And Gort leans in and holds up 2 socks, and he's like, do you think these 2 match? Like, he's just completely gone.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is I feel like the gray spell, because hoarding is like it's a condition, and the gray
Yeah.
spell cures it. So is it that bad?
Yeah.
It cures hoarding. TLC would have a heyday. Actually, they'd be like, we don't have a show anymore. But
No. Is hoarding still on TLC?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Is TLC even what it's called anymore? Isn't it like Freeform or something?
I have no idea.
Because it's not. I mean, they should have changed it from the Learning Channel way long
Because
time
isn't
ago.
TLC Tender Love and Care?
I thought it was the Learning Channel. Which I know exactly because it has
don't
nothing to
know.
do with fucking learning. But I think when it started, that was the
I
intention.
had this whole
And
time
then
thought
they're
it
like
was-
dance moms.
That's learning.
Yeah, we learned a lot, and JoJo Siwa came about, so
Yeah.
hurrah.
And then Aggie starts to go gray. It's like coming up her hands. And then they're like, we got to get out of here. We got to figure this out. But they can't leave Gort's house because it's locked.
Yeah, they're like fully trapped, so something's going on.
And then Luke's like, oh my God, the door is locked and I can't get out.
I hate locks. And then Aggie starts being affected by the gray spell.
Yeah.
She starts to gray. She starts getting more, and she can't quite remember things.
She's getting a little froggy.
Yeah.
And then Cal shows up in the fire.
Yeah, he pulls a
As she's-
Sirius Black.
From Harry Potter. If you know, you know.
Which, this was 2001. So I think third book, was the third book already out? Like, did they steal it is my question. Because the movie definitely wasn't out yet. The third movie wasn't out yet.
It's possible they stole it.
I'm curious.
Because-
JK, did you get some money from this?
Because in like the first time Sirius Black comes out, it's just like in the wood.
Yeah.
But then the second time at Hogwarts,
It's
or I guess
in
we're
the
both at
flame.
Hogwarts. He's in
Yeah.
the flame.
Yeah.
But I don't remember from the books if it really specifies if it's a
I think
flame.
it's just in the fire, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been so long.
I don't know.
You're listening to audiobooks.
I'm on book like 6. I'm well past.
I'm
Sirius
wa-
Black is dead.
Shh. Spoilers. Not that series has been out for ages, but
Turns out Cal has been spying on them every step of the way, and he also has the other spell book.
Yeah,
so they've
he's
been
like-
looking this whole time, and he got it. I don't even know how long ago.
yeah.
Because Aggie's like, it's been lost before you were born.
Yeah. So I think something's going on there. Someone was planning ahead,
Yeah.
like way ahead. Then we kind of find out like, well, who is Alex? And Alex says like he's a science experiment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird.
So not Cal. So Alex is not Cal's dad. We learn that at this point.
Yeah, and then I think Luke is the one who pieces this together. He's like, oh, if he's gonna say like if the gray spell is the reverse of whatever the spell that he's trying to do in the human world, that means in the human world it's gonna turn them into creatures. And Aggie's like, yeah, there's a spell like that makes them like essentially. Since the gray spell makes them like a caricature of humans, it's a caricature of the creatures. So they're like
Right.
extreme, mean, evil, gross versions of what the people in Halloweentown would be.
Right. And that's why Alex wanted to put a mask on the mom. They also say that as well. It's like, oh, because
Yeah.
she's gonna turn into
That creepy green thing.
Ugh.
That mask is so creepy.
I know. So we're back with Dylan and Sophie. Sophie reads out of a book about golems, and it's essentially like I'm gonna quote Harry Potter again, but there's like that spell that kind of makes people do whatever you want. I forget what it's called, but it's essentially that, so you basically can control them.
Yeah. And so he's under his control because he's made of. So a golem is like, it's not actually a human.
Right.
It's a human that's been created out of some sort of substance. So it can be
Right.
like fire, water, or whatever. But Sophie pieces it together because the whole frog thing. And she's like, I think he's a golem made of frogs.
Right.
And that would kind of make sense because he's obsessed with green. He talks about the lily pads. He loves the lime ice cream.
And Dylan saw the frog on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. She thinks that Cal's dad is a golem, and Sophie wants to go to the dance to like warn the mom.
Yeah.
And Dylan's like, I'm not going. Someone has to be here when they take you all away. I don't know what that means, but it's like y'all are going to the
You're all
loony
nutty,
bin
yeah.
or like,
Which, like, he knows that it's real, though, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't want it to be. He's like, life would be so much simpler if we weren't fucking witches.
I know. And then Sophie's like, you're a Cromwell too. Tell me you don't feel something bad going on. And
No.
Dylan's like, yeah. So they end up going to the dance.
And, but they're like, but you need a costume. And it pans over to the skeleton wearing a sombrero and a poncho. And all I could think was like, oh, Dylan's about to appropriate. Let's
Yeah,
go.
woo.
It's 2001.
Let's do that. Yeah, it's a
Doesn't
different
make it okay.
time.
It's just like Disney didn't even think about it.
There's also a joke later on in the movie that I did write down.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
get there. I know
That I'm
exactly
like,
what you're talking about.
oh, this is not good.
Yeah, but I'm like, damn. But yeah, it's like it plays like the music. It's like, yeah, ha, ha. And I'm like, okay.
With like the
costume is someone else's culture,
Yes.
which is kind of weird. I guess you can dress up as like a pilgrim, but like,
But we didn't think it was weird at the time.
yeah, no, it was just kind of
How
like,
many
oh.
people dress up as like Pocahontas?
Right,
Or
right.
like, I feel like it wasn't abnormal to dress up that way.
Yeah, I don't think people were like thinking of it, and like I think it's just more on people's radar now, which is good,
Yeah,
is a positive thing. But
great.
it's just so funny watching it now and being like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, you know exactly where that's going. And it's
Yeah.
like, is that a costume? I guess.
So yeah, we're back with Marnie, Luke, Aggie, and Gort.
Yeah, we're flipping back and forth a lot now.
I know. It's a lot of back and forth.
Oh, and this is where like Marnie's like, okay, well, there's got to be some way around this. She's like, you know, there's got to be a way out of here. And he's like, and Luke's like, there's only inside and outside. She's like, but what about like, and then because it's an early 2000s movie and every young person is a hacker. So Marnie's like, oh, you know, like hackers use like back doors to get into computer programs. And he's like, computers have back doors? And like, it's this whole conversation about essentially how like they get around things. Because there's always another way when it comes to your computer and all of that jazz, I suppose. But that's how she tries to explain, like, there's got to be a workaround, essentially. Which you could have used loophole, whatever. It's the modern age. She uses a computer. She's a hacker.
She's on IM.
She's, what? How is your party going? And she's like, well, what if we do? And she quickly comes to the idea of time travel. And I'm like, it would have taken me forever to think of something like that.
Yeah.
It is fast.
Marnie's smart.
She is smart. I don't hate Marnie. It's because she is a teenager that she's impulsive. And when Sophie gets that age, she'll probably be the same.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
We need a Sophie spin-off.
Yes. Emily, we want you.
Yes.
Make a movie.
And yeah, so Marnie starts. Oh, we need to go back. Aggie knows the spell, but she is starting to kind of. She's a little fuzzy because of the gray spell.
Yeah.
So she tries to write it down before she goes gray. Then she completely goes gray. But but Luke and Marnie are like, I don't understand this spell. Like, can you read this spell?
Yeah.
Because it's in like, what did she say?
Like Welsh.
Welsh.
Yeah. Betty ma, Betty go. Better march. Better get there. Better get going before there's no more beds.
Call back to the first movie.
Yeah, love it.
So Marnie starts saying the travel time spell, and they only go back a couple of minutes, like right before Aggie turns gray. She's like, oh, that's not far enough.
Yeah, which in that part it's weird because then they're speaking at full volume and they're right next to their past selves. How do their past selves not notice?
Oh my gosh, we only went back a couple of minutes.
I would be like, why is another me standing across the room?
That's another callback to the third movie when they do that in
That's
Harry
what I'm
Potter.
saying.
This
It's
is Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter 3. This is the Prisoner of Azkaban. And Cal is Sirius Black. Maybe he's good.
Oh my gosh. And Cal is cute, and wasn't Lord Voldemort like attractive? Isn't that what they always say? He was like good looking.
Back in the day.
Yeah, when he was Tom Riddle.
Yeah.
They try again, but they go all the way back to like caveman time.
Yeah, like prehistoric. There's a caveman. And she's like, oh, that didn't work.
And then so Marnie does it a third time, but she reappears, but she has lost Luke, but Cal is there.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you worked around my smell. You worked around my smell. I'm so stinky.
Is he Gort?
He's Gort. You worked around my spell. Good for you naughty girl.
I don't know why they wrote that.
I don't know.
It's so gross.
But he kind of like congratulates her, and he's like, where's everyone else? He's like, I took them offline. Again, like computer hacker, which is also really creepy. You can just like take people out of existence. That's weird.
Guess they're just in like a black hole.
It's weird.
And then Marnie's like, you better stop breaking into my spells, Cal. It's against the code of Merlin.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I don't care about the code of Merlin. And you're like,
I can't believe that. Another thing though, like the Harry Potter world, like Merlin is a thing in that world. Like he was an establisher of magic rules and shit.
What's the thing that
Halloweentown is just another it's another.
What does Mr. Weasley say is like oh my gosh, but it's like
oh, the Merlin thing?
Yeah, he says like an expression that has Merlin. Do you know what I'm talking
about?
Yeah.
And even in Hogwarts Legacy, they say like Merlin be with us or Merlin be with you kind
Merlin's
of thing.
beard.
Merlin's beard.
Yeah. It's like he says something.
I love Merlin. He's a great guy. But yeah, he doesn't care about the code. He's like, fuck the rules, blah, 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 blah. This movie is very much about like, there are rules in place. We must follow them.
Yeah.
And I feel like the lesson at the end of the movie is like, some people are allowed to break the rules and others aren't. And that feels very capitalism.
Marnie reads the spell again, and she appears in Gort's house and is messy, which probably means that we're back at the right timeline. Because Gort's house is supposed to be messy with like all of the shit. And Luke is there too. He just appears. He's good to go.
They're back.
Yeah.
And Gort's like, why are you in my house? Like, leave, get out of here. And she's like, okay, like, I guess we'll go. But it was nice to see this place before it got all cleaned up. And he's like, what? What the hell did you just say? Like, he does not want his mess ruined.
Yeah. Yeah, and he is really upset. Yeah, we're back with Sophie and Dylan. They're flying to the dance. Sophie doesn't really know how to fly yet on a broom, so it's just a lot of them like circling in the air.
Yeah.
And Dylan's very upset. All right, now we're back with Marnie and Luke again.
Very quick.
And they're still looking for the book. And Gort has a pet cockroach.
It's huge. And
it has a little
Spike.
collar. I don't know. And then Gort all of a sudden remembers the book and that Kalabar bought it from him 50 years ago.
Damn. So that's like Kalabar has been playing the long game. Like he's been planning for a long ass time.
How old where was Cal when Kalabar was like doing its thing?
I don't know. And see, that's the thing. He's like, my dad never talked about me much. So it's like, when were you born? Like, how old are you actually? Because Halloweentown time. Try to say that 5 times fast. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's like, and where's the other parent? Like,
who is his mom?
Is
Did
this
Gwen
a
know them? This is what I'm saying.
donor
Like,
situation?
we get a nice Gwen Kalabar when they're younger movie when she meets the dad. It'd be so good.
With
and
like
then
Kalabar.
Yeah, and then who Kalabar meets. Like, oh, there's so many people we want to know about from that era.
By the way, it feels like a James Potter, Lily Potter, and a Snape. Because remember, Snape was left out and turned evil.
God, someone was reading those books.
I currently am. I literally currently am.
Oh my god.
Marnie realizes that Cal has a second spell book all along. I think we already found that out. And the only reason he took it from Marnie was to stop her from undoing it. So he was like, yeah, so he was playing the long game, essentially.
Which is crazy, like that much time. But also, if time travel spells exist, maybe that was in play too. Which then again, like, that's like something where Marnie starts freaking out. She's like, we don't have enough time. I'm like, girl, you literally just traveled through time. You have all the time in the world.
Yeah, you could go back
understand.
You go back 5 minutes.
The
every
gate's
5
gonna
minutes.
close in 10 minutes. Like, no, you have time travel. I don't get it. I do not understand how you can be freaked out about time if you can travel through time.
That's the tea.
That's the tea.
I said, whoop, we're at the dance, and it looks pretty fun.
It looks so much fun.
And here's maybe not the best joke of the movie, but it is said. So Dylan sees the girl that he asked out. Dylan, I found a costume for the dance. And she said, yeah? Who are you supposed to be? El Geeko?
Bitch.
Yeah.
Damn, Cindy. Like, girl, chill out. She is mean.
Yeah. They find Mom and Alex. Mom's like, what are you doing here? And Dylan's like, we're just rocking to the beat. And he starts dancing.
Yeah.
Doing his little Dylan jig.
And then she's like, hey, but why are you really here?
Yeah.
And he essentially like explains, like, we're pretty sure he's a golem.
Yeah.
Like, Mom's like, what? Are you kidding me? And then we get the fade to black because it's definitely a commercial break.
Yeah.
Which, it was on TV. This was made for TV. It's
It
okay
was.
to do, but it's just weird.
We're back with Marnie and Luke. Luke is saying that the gray spell could have not just worn off and that Marnie must have said something. So Luke basically starts to write like what she was saying at the time he turned back into a goblin.
Yeah.
She's basically like a trap, a spell, or and then he sees the word trap is a part backwards. He tells her to try to say apart. And he and Gort actually turns gray. So she says apart.
Yeah.
And Gort turns gray.
Yeah, and it worked.
Mhm.
And so, because Marnie was like kind of questioning it, she's like, "That's so short. Like, it's a small." And he's like, "Do they have to be long spells?" And she's like, "No, I guess not."
Yeah.
Boom. Right. Luke saves the day again.
Yeah. Luke is smart.
Yeah.
That's what I told
And then
him.
he's just irrelevant going forward in the series, and it's fine. I don't have any opinions about anything.
And so they only have 15 minutes before the portal closes, but they lost the time travel spell because they lost it in the place that things get that show up when they get lost. And Gort's like, if you lose it here, it's poof, it's gone forever. So they're kind of screwed. And Luke's like, don't you remember the spell? And she's like, it was in fucking Welsh.
Yeah, and she like tries to say it, but it's always like she still says like English words, and I'm like, girl, you're not even trying. She's like Becca, Rathan, Theodora, something, and I'm like, those are names. Like, stop.
Yeah, so she's doing those, and she gives Gort hair. There's some gnomes that show up. Like, It's just like not the right.
Yeah. And
thing.
at first, I'm like, oh, poor Gort. Like, this sucks for him. He keeps kind of he's like a test dummy. And then he's like, oh, we could just use my timeline. And I'm like, you have a solution and you didn't suggest it like 10 minutes ago. Now I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah. But before that happens, we're back at the dance.
Yes.
And Mom is very mad at Sophie and Dylan. And Sophie is like, why did you dress up like that? Sophie asks Alex, why did you dress up like that? Because he's dressed as a frog. And he's like, it's interesting that you did because I saw someone dressed up as a big fly with fuzzy legs. And Alex is like, And she actually creates a fly in midair and it starts buzzing around and he catches it with his big ass tongue. And it's really gross.
And Gwen's like, fuck.
Yeah. And then Dylan's like, oh, that's not normal. And Mom's like, you're not human. And Alex is like, no one's perfect.
Yeah. I feel bad. Gwen just wanted to find new love and move on with her life, and she never is going to get that.
I personally hate, because this happened in Riverdale. Have you ever watched Riverdale?
A little bit.
Where Betty's mom started going out with Jughead's dad. And Jughead and Betty were dating at the time. So it was a mom and a dad dating and then their son and daughter dating.
Yeah.
Or the mom's daughter and the dad's son dating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's weird.
That's weird. Yeah. That's
right? Because
weird.
at some point, someone's going to get married.
Serious, then it's weird. Yeah.
Because then you're kind of like stepdaughter, stepbrother, stepchild
it gets
situation.
Messy very quickly.
And so that's how I feel in this one where it's like Marnie and Cal had a connection or they had a connection and then Gwen and his dad. I'm like, that's weird.
Dad, yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those weird things that I'm like,
weird.
some point is going to get awkward.
Yeah.
Mom gets pissed off and she does a spell that turns him into a pile of frogs.
Yeah, so back into what he originally was.
And then Dylan's like, does anyone know where we can find a swamp?
Wow. And then Gwen's like, okay, where's Marnie? Like, we got to take this seriously. And she tries to get a hold of her with the headphone, and it's like, we're sorry, they're currently in another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
The message will reach them in 400 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so Gort is basically like, oh yeah, I have a timeline that some wizard lost. And I'm like, okay, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
They jump into the timeline. They start to fly on Marnie's fancy broom, which is just like a little pencil that she like makes into a broom.
Yeah, and it's like this nice sleek. Because in the old one, she's got like the neon yellow. I think it's more fun. But anyway, although it was just like spray painted plastic Dollar Tree, whatever. But then this one is like fancy silver. Like she's got the DeLorean of brooms now.
Yeah.
And I wrote down Nimbus 2000 because I'm like, oh, she upgrades in the sequel. Surprise.
Yeah. Luke is a little scared of flying, but he's a trooper. He does it. He gets on the broom. All right. Now we're back at the dance again. Mom.
And the principal is dressed up as a minion before minions exist.
Really?
No, it's like a one-eyed yellow. It looks like a minion.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like a minion.
Mom, Sophie, and Dylan are all looking for Cal because they think he's at the dance.
Yeah.
Mom puts the mask back on to kind of start like looking around. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And the mask is really, 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 really creepy.
It's gross. And we see him in the rafters. Like they don't find him, but the camera pans up and he's just standing up there and he's about to like grand finale time. He's kind of getting the creature spell ready to go. It's close to midnight and the countdown begins. Okay, but yeah, it's weird. Why is there a midnight countdown? I don't get it. Like that's a New Year's thing. It is not a Halloween thing. And also
because it's a Halloween movie. It's bigger than any other holiday.
We gotta do a countdown. Okay, fine. Do a countdown. Can we do it at like when there's 10 seconds left? Because they start at 60 seconds. So everyone in the audience is 60, 59, 58. And I'm like, this is going to go on for a whole ass minute.
I don't want to count down a whole minute.
No one does. That's why we have timers.
Luke and Marnie are still in the timeline. Marnie sees a black hole and is like, let's go over there.
Great.
We're back at the dance.
Because she's a genius. She's a hacker.
Yeah. She's
a runner. She's a track star.
Her and the gal from the Christmas Prince should like really hook up and do some hacking together.
Well, she talks about Stephen Hawking, and she's like, yeah, it's like a fucking non-stellar black hole. And I'm like, she's smart. Okay, she's smart. All right.
She's smart. I said it. Back at the dance, Cal's starting to say this spell. It's interesting how the spells work because half of them are in English and half of them are in like
Yeah, I think it's
Welsh.
just, well, I think too, Marnie says like there are secret spells that only the witch or wizard knows that they make up. So I think like if you make up a spell, it's probably going to be in your native language, and then from then on it's passed on. So my guess is that the Welsh ones are from someone a long time ago, and the English ones are more modern spells. That's going to be my explanation.
But his spell is English and
yeah, it's like
it's
both.
a mix
Yeah,
of both. Because
he's
I
like,
write
and then he's like earth, fire,
change
something.
these people into creatures they are dressed as, and then
Yeah.
there's another language, and then he points at the mom because she sees him and she makes the mask like stay on her and she can't get it
Yeah, he
off.
sticks it to her face,
Yeah.
which is scary. I even if you weren't going to turn into a creature, I would not want to be trapped inside one of those masks. It's so hot and stinky, like that rubber smell.
Yeah. We're back at President Gort's house. Aggie and him are still sorting socks. Then we're back at the dance. Cal is still stating the spell at the dance. Then we're back with Luke and Marnie, and they fall into the pile of socks.
Yeah, they like shoot out. It's like a whole thing. But good. I mean, they're back where they need to be.
Right.
So, okay. And then things start happening at the dance.
Mhm.
People start turning into the monsters. I think it's like the principal or whoever's up on the mic, he turns into that weird creepy minion thing. Cindy gets turned into an actual vampire, and she's like, I want to drink your blood, like Dylan. Like, I was not all over you now, but now I totally am. So I mean, if you can't get a girl, turn her into a vampire.
True.
And then the mom is like a creepy swamp creature.
A witch?
I don't know. It's scary. It is scary.
It's just like chaos. It's absolute chaos. And then Cal puts on a cape. He's just on the stage and he puts on a cape, and you're like, you're
that's your reveal.
so cool.
Yeah, woo, cool.
Woo.
They're like, well, we can't make him look like not cute and not modern. You know?
Yeah.
You know.
And then we're back with Marnie and Aggie. And basically they get stuck there because the portal starts to close and they can't get back.
Yeah.
Because it's too late. Like the
It is
countdown's
convenient,
happening.
and I'm sure like this was a design when they created the portal in the first place that it has a timer above it. Like it's it's good that they have that, because I would be like, I need to know when this is closing.
Right. But it was like there was 15 seconds left, and it was already starting to close.
Ran through.
But also, can you close it when it's like at 0 and then a slow close? Like, does it have to be like a 15-second it's starting to close?
Well,
like, that's so dramatic.
But would you go into a coffee shop when they're 15 seconds to close? You would not.
All right.
Totally the same thing.
Well, this is not the service industry. This is Halloweentown.
True.
But yeah, Marnie's really sad. Aggie's like, oh, we can go back next year. But Marnie's like, it's going to change. Like, it's going to feel like forever. Like, I don't want to wait an entire year to go back.
Which is hard because, like, but Aggie's like, hey, we have to kind of accept this. Like, we'll plan ahead and we'll get him back, but we'll have all the time to do it.
Right.
But Marnie's like, I will not take no for an answer. Like, we're not doing this. Like, rules are meant to be broken. Here's where we're at the part where it's like, rules can be broken.
Merlin would be so mad.
I know. And so what she does is she calls on the headphone. She's like, yo, Dylan, Sophie, let's try to open the thing. And they're like, we don't even have a spell for that. Like, how do we do that? How do we
She's
even
like, just feel it out?
Just feel it. And she's gonna just make it up. And I'm like, improv skills.
Yeah.
That's what you do. If you want to be a good witch or wizard, you gotta be good at improv.
Yeah.
You can make any spell you want.
Hell yeah. And then Marnie tries to take Luke's hand, but he says, hey, I'm no warlock. And Marnie says, but I need someone who believes anything is possible. Do you believe that? And he's like, if you're there, yeah.
Oh my God.
Cute.
And she's still, even when he's like goblin-y in his weird makeup.
Yeah, love each other who they are,
Exactly.
you know?
And then he just is irrelevant.
Yeah. So they all hold hands, start to say a spell. They say it over and over again, just like the first movie. It starts to go into this weird, like, everyone's like head is spinning. It looks like the photo booth.
Yeah,
In like,
it's like this twirly,
the Mac photo booth thing.
Yeah.
But they do it. They open the portal so they're able to get back. But Cal is pissed.
My note is just, Cal is crabby. He's a little Mr. Krabs.
He's like, ugh. And Marnie is like, why do we have to hate each other?
Yeah.
You don't have to be like your dad. And he says, fine, just take the books. And he like offers the books up, but he has like these tentacle things that are like coming out.
Yeah, they're like spooky and creepy. And,
yeah.
That's good though. I mean, if she returns her books, then she should be able to attend the dance after.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great.
That's the whole point of this movie. She needed to return her
so
books.
she can go.
Oh my god.
When the office is like, no, it's way too late.
Yeah. Like the dance is like over, dude. Everyone's like goblins and
You
shit.
still haven't
like...
paid off the half of your yearbook. I don't.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely not buying a letter this year.
Yeah. They were really sticklers about that.
Oh
like,
my god,
if you
the
had
accounting
$2,
office.
it was
and I'm
awful.
like, this is a public school. What are our taxes going to? Literally, kids pay for everything in school. What is going on?
My parents had to go sometimes and be like, here's the money. Like, give my kid
Remember
what
in
she
elementary
needs.
school, you like bring in like pencils and shit for the class to use. Do you remember that? And you donate like paper, like printer paper. And I'm like, where are our taxes going? Me, little second grade me, like, Mom, where's my taxes? Like, where are they going?
But yeah, so she starts to glow, right? Her powers, are starting to glow.
She's beaming. She is pregnant.
And she's able to take it from him so she can go to the fucking dance.
Yes.
She's like, here, finance office, take that.
Yeah, here we go. My books are in.
Cal ends up running away, and Luke's like, he'll be back.
Yeah, he like disappears. It's a full like, oh yeah, and this is what I needed to address. Because Luke, like you said, he says he'll be back, which totally tries to set up this like next movie.
Yeah, where he comes back.
And there's going to be, no, it's not relevant. She's still in high school in the next movie and has nothing to do with Kalabar.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Sorry.
Or Luke. He's just gone.
The writers of this movie were not the best.
Third one happens. They're like, there's a lot of people who can't be here for this. Fourth one happens. They're like, fuck everything.
Yeah. Fuck Kimberly, man.
I
like,
know.
fuck her.
Justice for Kimberly J. Brown.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, as I've hinted towards through this whole episode,
yeah.
Kimberly J. Brown plays Marnie. She's a phenomenal Marnie, and we love her.
Yeah, we love her.
In
She is the only Marnie.
She's the only Marnie. In the fourth movie, they replace her. Everyone else is the same.
Yeah.
The whole family gets recast, same actors, but not her. It's just a different person.
Yeah.
And it upsets me every time, and it always will.
We'll still cover it, but we won't like it.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. So Luke's like, he'll be back, and Marnie's like, and we'll be waiting together. Oh.
Get him.
And then Aggie gets her spell book out. She starts to say the spell. And the funniest part about this sequence is I don't know what they had her say in like forward, but it's the whole scene is in reverse.
Yeah.
Because at the end they're like,
yeah.
Yes. It's like they're happy all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like definitely in reverse.
It's so funny because it's immature editing. No, it is, because it reminds me of when I was a kid and I would make fucking YouTube videos and stuff. Like that's an effect I would use to like, you use like reverse to make it look like you're like building things. Like,
right.
Like you rip up a piece of paper and you use the reverse thing to make it look like, oh, I like magically made it come back together.
Right.
It's weird.
Did you make
it's
this movie?
I did.
But everything goes back to normal. Marnie, her mom, and grandma embrace. They're all a big happy family again.
They don't have to obey the rules of the portal anymore. It's open for good, which is crazy.
They can just go in
so
between.
Maybe Marnie's pretty powerful after all. I mean, it's the whole family, but still.
It's the Cromwells. And Aggie, Marnie, and Go change Halloween back to normal. They're just saying Trappa at everything. They're walking around, and Sophie's like, Trappa.
Yeah.
Trappa.
Yeah.
And even Dylan. Even Dylan's doing it.
Dylan, because Dylan turns Benny back to Benny.
Yeah.
But it just kind of sucks because I'm wondering how long that would take, like, to do that for an entire world. One by one by one.
Yeah.
Each thing, each person, Trappa apart. Where, like, Cal was like, I'm just going to say one fucking spell and do it all, like, cast it over the entire land.
Yeah. Did the jack-o'-lantern, like, change everything back?
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe
like,
it
once
was
they
like
did the jack-o'-lantern one, it was like, we're good.
We're like, everything's good
I hope
to
so.
go.
One by one. Exhausting.
I know.
That's like a year-long project. Like, that is what you put your tax dollars towards.
Yeah.
Undoing the grace spell.
Everyone is happy except for Gort, of course, because he's not happy with anything.
I love Gort.
And then the end of the movie is Aggie saying, so the World Wide Web you talk about, does it include spiders? And Marnie says, Grandma, I think it is time we start your training.
Oh my god.
And then it's a zoom out of Halloweentown, and that's the end.
And then there's like a poppy 2000s credit song. Like, spooky, spooky. We're a boy band, but we're not really established.
Spooky, spooky.
I also have a note that says Bouncy Booby Frankenstein.
What?
So when they go through like the townspeople, there's like a Frankenstein lady.
Yeah.
And honestly, I rewatched it. I went back because I was like, it looks like her like boobs are kind of like sticking out because they're like green. It's just the costume. Like there's like she's wearing like a robe, but for some reason they like tint it green right where her breasts are, and her face is green because she's like a Frankenstein.
Right.
So when I first watched it, because it flies right by her, I'm like, oh my god, they're showing like a booby Frankenstein, but they didn't. I was just haven't seen this movie too many times and just getting a little too excited. I guess I don't know.
Wow. Booby Frankenstein.
Bouncy booby Frankenstein. That's what I wrote.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's Halloweentown too.
Yeah, Kalabar's revenge. He did get his revenge.
But Kalabar's not even in the movie.
No, but it was. I feel like it kind of was his game plan. You know,
Yeah.
like if he was the one who he's the one who bought the book way back when. So maybe he planned it. I
just kind of know where Cal was. Like, was he like in school? Was he
Yeah, did they send him off to like a boarding school? I have so many questions about.
Is Cal
everything.
Tom Riddle?
Very well could be. And like if he says he'll be back, can we get a Halloweentown 5 where he does come back and you maybe recast Marnie as the correct person? You could redeem yourself here, Disney Channel.
Yeah, because they're still around. Like they're
Yeah,
together.
she's not dead.
Yeah, we've checked. I think she recently engaged, which is so exciting.
Yeah, and she's doing a Disney Channel show. Didn't you say she's in like a animated series?
Yeah, some ghost and
Like something Molly
Mickey
McGee.
or Molly McGee.
Cute. Like also good for her. I love her.
I don't know if she's like a big part in it, but she was
She
was in it.
She did
So
it. I hope they apologized. That's all I can say.
I don't know. I just don't understand because she came out and said like they never asked me to do it. They just
She was
did
really
it.
good about it too. She was like, like I just want to dress this one time, and she did. And she was just kind of like, they just never asked me. It wasn't like no, you're not coming back. They just never told her. They just made the movie and didn't tell her. But like, they told everyone else because everyone else is in the movie. Not Luke.
When is the last movie made? Is it like many years later, or is it like within a few years of each other? Because maybe she didn't like look.
Let's do
fit
some
the
research.
bill.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I think they were going to try to make Sarah Paxton their new it girl, and that didn't even work for Disney Channel. So like, let's look. Halloweentown High is the one that she's in. The last one she was in, which is 2004. So
Okay.
3 years after this movie, Return to Halloweentown is 2006. It was 2 years later, and they couldn't have the decency.
Wait, but Kimberly J. Brown is listed as a cast member.
She's not in it. That's a lie. It's Sarah Paxton. They still have her listed, but she doesn't have a character name under it. 'Cause it's
Lucas
Google.
Gabriel? Who the fuck is he?
He's Ethan Dalloway.
I've
He
watched the
becomes
fourth one
kind of
like
the new-
maybe one time.
He's in
like
the third
a
one though,
million.
so like he's a continuity between 3 and 4.
Oh.
Yeah. It's magic. On that note.
Yeah. Anyway, we're happy to do this. We have a lot of fun with it, and we hope you guys who do listen enjoy it. So you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We post some clips from the episode on TikTok and Instagram, and then the audio is obviously wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope to see you guys soon, and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
She doesn't sweat at all.
Welcome to LA, baby.
It's gooey, it's sticky, it's everything.
Are we bad at watching movies?
Who is this? Why is he the bomb? You don't even know him.
The door is locked and I can't get out.
I hate locks.
Quiet on set, please.